Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 1, Onikakushi. So last time, Keiichi went to school, talked to Mion, pretty much straight to the point told Mion that he knows stuff, right? What Uishi told him, and then Mion kinda got pissed, and for the rest of the day they didn't talk. And with Rena as well, she went to school, she didn't even I guess looked at Keiichi, and then when Keiichi went home, Rena was following him all the way. It was very creepy, and Rena was laughing all the time, right? She was just laughing and laughing and laughing. So it was hard to really tell if those were real or it was just in Keiichi's hallucinations. And then yet afterwards, when he ran away from Rena, he was then chased by, I guess, like two guys, I think. Was that even real as well? I don't know. Because yeah, at the ending, he ended up in his house, right? He was waking up and then he was inside his house. So by the way, yeah, last time as well, in like 1 hour and 20 minutes of the video, like my mic cut off for like 2 minutes. I do apologize for that. I didn't notice as I was very immersed in the scene that was happening, and I didn't notice that my mic cut off for some reason. So I really do apologize. So for when next time, if that ever happens again, if I stop like for a couple seconds or if it just went silent, at least in my part, my voice, yeah, that means it cut off for a second. So I apologize for that. So anyways, let's just continue. I think this might be the last part, at least. We'll have to see because Keiichi said last time that this might be the last cycle, right? This is the last day, something like that. But we'll see. The smell of the bed and pillows, I knew them well. Was this my room? Normally there wouldn't be anyone in my room besides me, but their presence made me spring wide awake. When I did that, pain shot throughout my entire body.
大丈夫かな?
Rena is here.
横になってた方がいいと思うよ。
Why was Rena in my room? Did she bring him here? Yeah, blood began to surge through my muscles and my capillaries. But Rena's smile belonged to Rena, I knew well. I knew I shouldn't let myself feel this way, but I relaxed thinking that this version of Rena was safe.
俺はどうして
覚えてないの?
意識がなくなってからのことは全然
My body had become more lethargic than I could have ever imagined. I guess that would be expected outcome after exerting everything I had back there. I tried to at least clear my head, but I just couldn't shake the sluggish feeling out of my mind.
一応お医者さんにも電話したから、
The doctor?
もうすぐ来ると思うよ。
Oh, I guess yeah, because maybe he passed out outside, right? But yeah, what was the two guys following him then? I don't know, man.
それまで横になってた方がいいと思うな。
I wasn't injured seriously enough to merit calling a doctor. But knowing that someone impartial was coming was slightly reassuring.
俺どうしてここにいるんだ確かダム現場で
それはレナが聞きたいな。何があったのかな。レナが行った時にはケイチ君倒れてて。
だから聞きたいのは俺の方だよ変な二人組に襲われて
As I talked about it, I finally remembered what happened right before I passed out. Recalling that memory and terror that went along with it caused the fogginess around my head to clear things up, or clear right up. Let's forget about those two for now. I didn't expect Rena to be nursing me. I thought Rena was trying to kill me. She would have had the perfect chance while I was unconscious, but Rena kept saying she wants to save you though, that's a thing, but yeah, when she was talking last time, she kept laughing as well, so yeah, that's pretty creepy, pretty weird. Not only did she not kill me, she had nursed me back to health.
よく俺を引きずってここまで来れたな。重かったろ。
Looking at Rena's delicate frame, it was hard to believe that she had not only gotten me back home, but even dragged me all the way up to the second floor. Did she have some help?
ケイチくん、覚えてないの？
Ren appeared a bit surprised, but still kept her smile.
レナはケイチくんに肩を貸しただけだよ。大丈夫、自分で歩けるってケイチくんが。覚えてない？
I didn't remember. My memory is fuzzy after the point where I lost consciousness.
二人組はどうした？レナが来た時、俺と一緒に、あるいはそばに二人組の男が。
いなかったよ。
She said it bluntly. The way she stated it felt slightly unpleasant. I was just too timid at the time. I might have been able to force some answers out of Rena. But if I did that, then this kind of Rena might transform into that scary Rena who I didn't know. Hearing that, I didn't press any further. Thinking about it, it was the obvious choice. If both of those men were there, I don't think Rena would even have stood a chance. I couldn't find a way to explain it unless I assumed she brought me here after those two were already gone. Rena was still smiling. Her eyes sparked warmly. Yet, I felt like I was hallucinating when I saw something akin to a shadow slowly creeping across her face. That small omen sent shivers down my spine. While Rena was still Rena, I needed to make contact. I needed to contact Uishi-san. Rena stopped me when I tried to get out of bed. She said it would aggravate my wound, so I should sleep.
トイレに行きたいんだけどな。
ごめん。
Rena couldn't say anything else. While Rena stayed in the room, I quickly went downstairs to get the phone receiver in the living room. Okay. When I approached the front door, the doorbell rang a ding-dong. It must have been the doctor Rena had called. It was strange for a patient to welcome in the doctor who was making a house call. But it would be incredibly reassuring to have him here for the considerable time it would take Uishi-san to get here. I carelessly opened the door with a simple assumption and regretted it almost instantly.
ミオン。
It was Mion.
あれ元気そうだね。倒れてたって言うから様子見に来たんだけど。
なんで俺が倒れてたって知ってるんだよ。
レナが電話してきたから。他に理由が必要？
I understood why she would call a doctor. But yeah, why Mion too? Rena was descending from the stairs behind me.
レナ、ケイちゃん大丈夫そうだよ。たく、心配して損した。
そうだね。レナも心配して損したかな。
But yeah, this scene, it feels like we're back to normal again, right? After all those things that happened. They both began laughing. It appeared to be cheerful laughter, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a darkness looming over them.
うわ、なにこの下駄箱。どうしてたの？
Yeah, the Shurak that I'd smashed to pieces had been like that since yesterday.
転んでさ、その拍子に持ってたバットで叩いちゃったんだよ。
持ち慣れないもん振り回してるからこういうことになるんだよ。
I kept the fact that it was none of our business to myself.
でもこれじゃおばさまたちが帰ってきたらびっくりしちゃうね。後でレナが片付けておくね。
さあ、ほらケイちゃん。重病人なんだからちゃんと寝てないとダメだよ。さあさあ、お布団に戻った。
Both of them urged me up the stairs. I had no chance to call Uishi-san. I was pushed into my bed. As it was the first time Mion had been in my room, she began searching around it intently. She fiddled around my room and was scolded by Rena. You can imagine how it went. It was uncomfortable having my room poked around, but the conversation was benign that it was heartwarming. During that innocent conversation, Mion said something as though it was perfectly ordinary.
レナ、監督には電話した？
Director? What?
みーちゃんに電話した後すぐにね。すぐ来るって言ってたよ。
Who was this director? Sorry. Since Rena and Mion's conversation was so peaceful, it only felt slightly odd.
二人とも何の話をしてるんだよ。監督ってなんだよ。
Yeah, who is this?
ケイちゃん知んないの？監督って言ったら監督だよ。
Who is it? We mean the director when we say the director. What do you mean a director then? What?
映画の監督とか
Director of the movie or of a movie?
工事現場の監督とか
What? A foreman of a construction site. I dug through all of my memories for a director who might have business with me. Only one thing came to mind. What Granada just said, the construction site foreman. The very first victim of the first incident, the dismemberment at the damn construction site, the foreman. Yeah, he was the first one to die. But that was strange. He was supposed to be dead. There was no way they could call him.
お前らが何の話をしてるのかわからないよ。その監督が俺と何か関係あるのか？来るって言ったけど、うちに来るのか？
I asked one obvious question after another, but all the two of them did was smile oolly at each other. There was a huge difference between how the two of them appeared and how my suspicions were playing out. Slowly, I felt discomfort and panic welling up inside me. I couldn't understand what Rena and Mion were talking
ケイ
about.
ちゃん、最近は野球に凝ってるんだよね。監督、それ聞いたら喜ぶと思うな。
Keiichi, you've gotten into baseball lately. So maybe the director of baseball? Something like that?
だから監督って誰だよ。
監督は監督さんだよ
This is the thing about Rena, man. Like, look at this. Mion said, you've gotten into baseball lately, haven't you? So this director might be something like a director for baseball or something like that, right? But for Rena, the director is a director. Why are you saying it like this? Just say it straightforward.
だから監督って誰だよ。
And now they're laughing like this. They're playing with him. Rena and Mion looked at each other and laughed haughtily. The dispersing cackle unpleasantly resounded around me. That laugh, long enough to be unsettling, ended abruptly.
そうだ。監督が来る前に済ませとくかな。
What?
ケイちゃん、覚えてるかい？
Her face was laughing, but Mion's eyes told a different story.
覚えてるって何をだよ。
ケイチくん忘れちゃったのかな罰ゲームなんだよ
Penalty?
罰ゲームなんだよ
I mean, I guess a penalty for the mochi? Is that it?
忘れちゃったのかなおはぎの宿題
Okay, the homework with the mochi.
どれがレナの作ったおはぎかを当てる宿題あれ確か宿題忘れだったよね
I certainly did have that homework, but I had thrown away the rest of the mochi after I found that sewing needle. So I wasn't able to answer which one Rena made. The penalty for that? Why now? No doubt, my question was written all over my face. The answer to my question was that dry laughter. I could no longer make heads or tails of anything. I began to think that this entire day was somehow insane. Strange, incomprehensible, being chased by Rena, attacked by strange men, the penalty that Mion and Rena were talking about. What were these two laughing at? It didn't take that long for me to realize I had been dragged into an abnormal situation. Who were these two? Who were these people? Who were these doppelgangers of Rena and Mion? Okay, now she changed now. Rena had gotten behind me at some point. Why was she pinning my arms behind my back?
何の真似だよ。
動かないでね。罰ゲームだから。
My body was already sluggish and Rena pinning my arms made it that much harder to move. I seriously tried to struggle, but she wouldn't even budge. My panic began to well up and I realized this was well beyond the realm of jokes and pleasantries. This freakishly monstrous strength, it would have been impossible for the Rena that I knew. Then, these thin frail arms grasping me firmly, whose arms were they?
ケイちゃん、抵抗しちゃダメだよ。海賊大、何条でもいいや。
Okay, yeah.
罰ゲームに抵抗しちゃダメなんだからさ。
Mion, no, that thing that looked like Mion spoke to me like how Mion would speak to me. But I was certain this was not Mion. Someone who wasn't Mion, someone who was just pretending to be Mion.
監督が来る前に済まさないとね。
Mion fished into her pockets and pulled out something bizarre. I could tell what it was just by looking, but for such a thing to be in her pocket, my mind wouldn't accept it. So what was it then?
なんだよ、それ。
It was a small... what? It was a small clear syringe, the kind of a doctor might use if you went to them with a high fever. Rena held me even tighter, and I could hear that clattering laughter that no longer sounded like laughter blaring into my ear. That eerie laughter, it wasn't something that Rena, or the Rena I knew, could ever produce from her own throat. This thing that was pretending to be Rena, was this a real laugh? Unable to defend myself, the syringe Mion was holding drew closer. And that needle tip was waved in front of my face countless times.
大丈夫大丈夫。痛くないから痛くないから。
何をする気だよ。これは一体何の真似だよ。
ケイちゃん、何言ってんだか。分かってんでしょ。
何が？俺には何が何やらさっぱりわからねえよ。
知ってるくせに今さらかまととぶられてもな。
わけのわからないことを言って俺を煙に巻くのはやめろ。
富武さんと同じ目に遭ってもらう。
You're going to have done to you what happened to Tomitake-san. The same as Tomitake-san. I didn't really understand what she meant. What did that have to do with the syringe?
ケイチ君、とぼけてるね。
Okay, let's just move forward a little bit. I'm thinking of something right now.
うすうすは気づいてたくせに。
Rena whispered into my ear, laughing as if to admonish me. But even the way she spoke was repulsive beyond compare. Playing dumb? Me? About what? What do you mean the same as Tomitake-san?
みんな初めはひき逃げされたものだと思っていました。
But wait. Okay, let's go back a little bit, right? So remember what's a Nagashi? This is the thing about what's happening with Keiichi right now. That's why I don't think it's real or not. Like what we're seeing here. This is maybe like they're saying this actually. Like, can we go back though? The same as Tomitake-san, right? That they did something to Tomitake-san during the Watsanagashi, right? He lost, right? And then they scribbled on his shirt, I think, right? Now, if this isn't real, or what Keiichi's seeing, he was just hallucinating it. Of course, Tomitake-san died, so for him, he's just imagining that they were gonna do something different to him, right? But for the girls, I think they're just gonna do the penalty game, right? I think so. Because yeah, even though it's a scary scene, the way they were talking there, it was just normal. Yeah, look at this. Okay, let's continue a little bit.
ですが、意識を確かめるために近づいた警官はすぐに異常に気づきました。喉がね、引き裂かれていたんですよ。
ナイフとか？
いいえ、爪でした。
Nails? Nails as in fingernails? Wait, those gouged through? That's right. Tomitake-san had clawed out his own throat with his own nails and died. There's no way someone could die like that. So then for that to happen...
薬物を疑いましたが、そういう類のものは検出できませんでした。
That's right. The police didn't find any drugs in Tomitake-san's system. Okay,
警察は富武さんの遺体から薬物は検出できなかったって言ったぞ。
okay, okay. I guess they're still laughing. The two of them laughed together with that sickening laughter. Of course they laugh. To assume that such a medicine didn't exist just because the police didn't know about it was completely foolish. But yeah, look at this. They're basically saying, or even Oishi-san, we thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature was detected. So maybe they're just doing the penalty game to him. And for Keiichi, as his mind is deteriorating, I suppose, he's thinking of another thing. He's seeing a syringe, right? But maybe it is not a syringe. Meaning the drug that caused Tomitake-san to die in such a bizarre manner did exist. If Mion injected this into me, then that would probably be all the proof I needed. That would basically mean I'd end up the same as Tomitake-san. Become hysterical, scratching out my throat in my last moments, then die. For such an outrageous drug to exist, for Mion to be holding it, and that it was about to be injected, or I was about to be injected with it. At that moment, I did not feel that there was any need whatsoever to question it. What kind of idiot, when he's trying to dodge a ball flying for his face, has the time to think for a reason as to why it's flying at him?
観念しなって。んじゃ。
Mion's action lacked any gravitas, and that made it even more terrifying. There was none of the ceremony like when someone is sentenced to death. There was no hesitation at all, as if she were brushing her teeth. Because maybe she's not gonna kill you, right? Mion reached out with one hand and grabbed onto my chest. It felt like electricity had run through the back of my head and the entire world had gone dark. Did I stand up too fast? Or did someone hit me really hard in the back of the head? Having lost my sense of balance, I was assaulted by a wave of dizziness. Okay. Yeah, I'm honestly leaning into the other side now that Keiichi is just hallucinating everything, right? Most of it, I suppose. Like there's some truth to it, but he's hallucinating it to be like much more sinister than it actually is. Because yeah, especially that one with the Tomitake-san bit there. It's kind of making sense now. I am saying. I squatted down for a bit. When I came back to my senses, my entire room had changed drastically. The numbness in my head was gone, and slowly I could tell blood was flowing to my extremities again. How long had I been squatting here? How many minutes? Or has it been hours? It was almost as if the hands on the clock had stopped moving the entire time my eyes were closed. That's how little time passed. Really? The air in the room wasn't filled with that madness from before, only a dull silence. Rena wasn't there pinning my arms, and Mion wasn't there about to inject me with a needle. No way. Could it be? All of it? It was a hallucination? See? Maybe. There was no other... They keep saying hallucinations. There was no other presence in the room besides my own. It was the weirdest experience I've ever had. I was certainly with Rena and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but I was also seized with some sort of comfort. I guess the terrible ordeal was a hallucination. Neither Rena nor Mion, they wouldn't ever do something so terrible. My head grew hot. I could tell my emotions were welling up. Why? There wasn't a reason to cry. Why? It was sorrow. Why was I sad? I don't understand. I don't understand. Kind to everyone, not discriminating against age or gender. Mion. Then Mion was sprawled by the window in an unnatural pose. Blood stained her a deep red from her head down to her chest. The bright crimson smeared on the walls. That splatter had undoubtedly come from Mion. She always had that bright smile and was kind to me from the day I transferred. Rena. That same Rena was slapped at my feet and was making the same pool of blood as Mion. I couldn't comprehend what had happened. Did someone come to save me? Then they beat this dude down with his metal bat? Oh! Did he kill them? I finally noticed the weight in my right hand. How long had it been there? It was Satoshi's metal bat. It was covered deep in a deep red. There was no doubt about that this was the weapon used to mutilate both of them. And I was holding that weapon. I was the only person in the house. He did it. Looking at this objectively, I couldn't think of anyone other than myself who could have done it. That's right. Keiichi Maibara. Of course I did it. I told myself gently, as if coaxing myself. Okay, hey me. There's no reason for you to remember it. Nor is there a need to regret it. Eat or be eaten. You get that, don't you? Neither Rena nor Mion had moved an inch. It wasn't just a split forehead and a trickle of blood. Nothing that simple. The entire room was splattered with red, and that told me it didn't end with just 2 or 3 strikes. Jesus. I mean, 1 strike to the head, right? It would really... Yeah, you're still alive, but... Yeah. You're gonna be dazed already in 1 shot. And then he keeps repeating the strikes, for example, right? Damn. The depths of my mind were calm, but on the surface I was panicking and agitated. Calm down, Keiichi Maibara. What happened to your usual calm self? Come on now. Do like you always do. Throw your head back and take a deep breath. Come on. Once. Twice. Breathe deeply. Calm down. Calm down. I chanted it over and over in my head and relaxed. Color came back to my vision and smells reinfused the air. At the same time, I remembered what happened when I blacked out. Rena and Mion had attacked me. Okay, so we're here now. They were about to inject me whatever caused the same symptoms as Tomitake-san. But right before that happened, I fought back. I twisted my whole body and ran it through as she was spinning my arms. Then I followed through with my spin and rammed my foot as hard as I could into Mion's torso. It was soft. Rena tried jumping on me, so I tackled her as hard as I could and slammed her against the wall. I didn't let that brief moment of having them off balance slip by. Satoshi's bat that was left carelessly by the side of the desk. At the moment, everything went pitch black. There was nothing recorded past this point in the videotape of my mind. No, that wasn't right. It wasn't there. It wasn't that there was nothing recorded. It was recorded just fine. Just the other me inside myself had told me not to look and had turned off the TV. Just because the screen had gone black and I couldn't see it, it didn't mean that the videotape within me hadn't recorded. The TV was just off, the video was still playing. Oh, so remember the opening, right? The opening of this chapter? When you start game and there was like the smashing and smashing? So it was Keiichi, the other Keiichi, I suppose, smashing both Rena and Mion at the same time. Okay. On the other hand of that pitch black screen, that horrifying video was still playing on. Compared to this though, the scene right before my eyes was still so difficult to take in. There was blood splattered everywhere on the walls, the two of them in these unnatural poses. Not a sign of movement from them. I couldn't even tell if they were breathing. No matter what the circumstances were, my friends, these girls, I had attacked them. I may have even killed them. But if I hadn't done this, I would have been the one done for. Balancing that out on an imaginary scale, it felt odd that I'd even feel bad about it. Even if it was a bit excessive, this was just justifiable self-defense. The proof was all here. The two of them collapsed here in Mion's syringe. So Mion's syringe is still there and not used, okay? Right? Mion's syringe filled with some unknown drug would certainly solve the mystery surrounding the incident with Tomitake-san. So the syringe, they didn't use it on Keiichi. And from the fact that both of these two were involved, they'd be able to pick out the criminals one after the other. Still, I might be suspected for this. I mean, you're gonna be suspected for this. You killed them in your room, Keiichi. But that was just fine. Anyway, now this should be a police affair. This wouldn't fade into darkness like Rena's past incidents. As long as the police were involved, that should bring this to a close. They'll probably revisit this investigation in the chain of incidents. Oishi-san would definitely get to the bottom of it. Meaning my wish of not wanting to die, of wanting to know the truth, that would be fulfilled in its most basic form. It was all a matter of time now. The Dr. Rana called should be getting here soon. I'll confess everything to him. I needed to contact Oishi-san. At the moment, I remembered. Besides the doctor, a director had been called. Yeah, director. It was easy to imagine that they were someone deeply involved with the incidents, judging from Rena and Mion's conversation. The ache in my chest caused by the gruesome deed I'd done dissipated rapidly. It was not over yet. This place was no longer safe. Stay calm, Keiichi Maibara. It is not over yet. I needed to leave long enough to tell the police of this incident. At the moment, I felt like I heard someone's voice from the outside. Since people were speaking, it must mean there was more than one person. I moved the curtains ever so slightly and appeared outside. It was a bizarre sight. About 4 or 5 grown men were all gathered at the gate. They very much resembled the 2 men who had assaulted me at the dam site today. Those 2 might be even among them. There was one person wearing a white coat, but it didn't look like a doctor at all. My gut told me he was in disguise, only posing as a doctor. That guy would probably ring the bell and get me to open the front door. Pretended to be a doctor to get me to open the door, and then the rest of them would all rush in at once. At the moment I saw the car parked behind the men and my heart nearly skipped a beat. The white van! Oh, it was also the white van? So I guess, yeah, the ones who tried to run him over is the same people. No mistaking it. That van, the one that had to try to run me down. The man in the white coat entered the gate and headed towards the front door. The rest of the men hid in the bushes and watched him. I probably couldn't pretend that I wasn't home. Undoubtedly, they just break the window and enter. I needed to get out of here somehow. Then use a public phone to contact Uishi-san, then meet up somewhere. First of all, I need a weapon, then shoes. But before all of that, there's one thing I had to do. I had no intention of dying. I'd live and reveal the truth about this nonsensical curse of Oyashiro-sama. But what would happen from here on, regardless of how determined I was, may bring about my demise. And that was why there was one thing more important than getting out of here right now. I need to get to the clock out quickly and take down the note hidden behind it. The tape was sticking to it fast. It'd be fine if it was torn a little. I opened up a slightly torn note and began writing another passage with a ballpoint pen. If I wasn't able to inform Uishi-san, then the only thing I could rely on was his note. So he's gonna add more details to it, I suppose. I never thought a piece of torn college-ruled notebook paper could be this reliable before. I had no time. I only write what I knew right now. I needed to leave some sort of information that would lead them to uncover the truth. Rena and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. This was an undeniable fact. I still didn't want to believe it, but it was a fact. Anyway, I leave all the information that will help lead them to finding the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This was everything I was able to see from the window. There may be more. Also, there was that unidentified person known as the director. To begin with, the term director didn't even mesh with Hinamizawa at all. If they were going to include the directors from past incidents, then the only one is the construction foreman, the victim from the first murder. The very first victim in the chain of incidents. Killed in a lynching, his body divided into 6 pieces. His right arm was never discovered. The police should have confirmed that death. But Rena and Mion did both call him a director. They said director. They wouldn't use that term to refer to someone who was dead. The police would never conceive that someone who was deceased could be involved. Could that be some oversight? I didn't know. But even if I didn't know, it could be a big hint for Uishi-san. That's right. They need to start fresh from the first incident. It wasn't just a simple dismemberment, but the start of the string of mysterious deaths that will follow, so then there must be something hidden there. Please reinvestigate the victim from the dismemberment incident. He's alive, okay. He wrote that, right? His death should have been established after an autopsy. Logically, you would think as much. But was that really the case? Could it have been some sort of ploy that they were able to deceive the police with? I shouldn't jump to conclusions, but he may still be alive. I had no time to ponder that right now. Oh yeah, there's something even more important I need to write. Tomitake-san's death was from an unknown drug. That's right, that drug, it was an irreplaceable piece of evidence. No doubt, just by having this, everything would be uncovered. I couldn't just leave the vital clue lying on the floor. This syringe is proof. Writing that down, I stuck the syringe in the back of the clock with plenty of tape, so it absolutely would not slip out and fall to the floor. Okay, they're here now. The bell rang. They were here. I couldn't write anymore. But even still, there was one last thing I had to write. I have no idea why it had become like this. This may be the closest thing to the truth out of everything I wrote on this note. If you're reading this, then I am probably dead. Though, you may or may not find my body. If I was going to write out everything that could happen, either dying from the curse or being demoned away, you who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. With this, my last will and testament was complete. It wasn't certain that I was going to die, but it was my final plea, just in case. I folded the note, stuck it in the back of the clock, and returned the clock back to its usual spot. I couldn't help but pray. Oishi-san, if something happens to me, I leave the rest to you. After that, I gazed down silently at Rena and Mion. This was probably the last time we'd ever see each other. Rena, Mion.
みんなのこと本当に友達だと思ってたんだぜ。
But why did it end up like this? I never had any fun in my previous school. I only worried about standardized test scores, about if the school I hoped to get into was where I really wanted to go or a safety net. That was all I talked about. It was a dull life. The people I called friends were also my rival in studying, in competitions, in personal records, and standardized test scores. Everyone here taught me how unhealthy that lifestyle was. This month was really fun. Making a fuss over lunch, making a fuss over the club, making a fuss over the festival. Something hot began dripping from my face. Uncontrollable tears. I should have had no obligations to shed tears for them. But they wouldn't stop. Even if they were after my life. Even if they were trying to kill me. Everything that happened this month, I wouldn't forget. Or could it be those happy days were all a facade as well? Was it all a trap, meticulously orchestrated up until today, to ensnare me? Could it have been I had just arbitrarily assumed that they were my friends? That couldn't have been the case. But Rena and Mion, they really were my friends. Those happy days, there was nothing fake or unclear about them. Someone probably forced them to try to kill me. Or their minds were taken over, possessed by the supernatural entity known as Oyashiro-sama. Regardless, both Rena and Mion, they were the best of friends ever. And when they were coming after me, it wasn't of their own volition. But they weren't the kind of people to sell off their friends, no matter what means were employed to force them. And there was no way such a thing as being possessed by Oyashiro-sama could happen in reality. Then, did the real Rena and Mion come after me? What was I thinking? What a silly, dumb idea. Having beaten down both Rena and Mion, I was still debating if they were the real ones or fakes. Yeah, they're dead already. Stop debating, Keiichi. There was no real or fake. Only the reality that was before me. Yeah, both of them are gone now. Rena and Mion sprawled out on my feet. That was the only truth. I was only trying to twist the facts to my benefit that I had beaten my friends to death. Yeah, it just doesn't want to accept it, right? No matter how I spun it, it wouldn't change reality. Rena and Mion were both dead. It felt like there was a crack in the dam of strange emotions I was holding back. It felt like my calm state, which was nothing more than a bluff, had receded, and in that opening insanity was leaking out. I killed them. I killed them. Rena and Mion. I killed them. It rang again. The unrelenting echo pulled me back into a state of composure once again. I didn't have a moment to spare. Quickly, I needed to get away. I didn't want to die. I would uncover everything after that. The identity of whoever or whatever had pushed me this far. Even if I had to drink mud and eat grass, I would survive. I will survive. I would definitely survive. I killed Rena for that very reason. Sorry. I also killed Mion. I went that far just to keep living. So I can't die. For my sake and for the sake of the late Rena and Mion, I have to survive. I ran towards the door and grabbed my shoes. The doorbell rang again as if to urge me on. Behind the single solitary door, they were there. Keeping quiet, I headed towards the kitchen, headed towards the back door. Before opening the back door, I put my ear to it and checked for people outside. No one? After I put on my shoes, I opened the door slowly so as to not make a sound. Okay. A piercing voice echoed out. That voice stabbed through me, setting my hair on end. I had to run. Get out of here, Keiichi. One after the other, I felt stuff like rational intelligence, those things you use when you have time to spare, spill out of me. I didn't feel any pain from the branches scratching my arms and forehead. He was just running away. My autonomously pulsing heart also felt neither fatigue nor pain. My entire body just wished to live. There was nothing else it desired. It probably had no complaints whatsoever. So of course I wouldn't feel fatigue. I just ran, just recklessly rushing in the direction I was already heading. Even if nobody was chasing after me, I'd still be running like this. There wasn't a thought in my mind about where I was headed. Turning around, I felt a presence right next to me. That presence was without a doubt chasing me like my shadow. If I took even one misstep, I would be devoured. That's what I thought. So I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I ran at full speed. Okay, where do we end up now? That was the chirping of the Higurashi telling me it was evening. Trying to tell me something, and then I finally heard it. The wailing cry of the victims who didn't make it. Would I be joining them? Only the Higurashi knew. They knew everything. They definitely knew. So I ran towards where I could hear more of the Higurashi's chirps. But the farther I ran, the farther away their chirping became. I couldn't get near them. Why are all of you running away? Was it my fault? Was I the one to blame? Then I'll apologize. I'm sorry. 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 I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I felt that only the Higurashi knew. Damn. What is this place? The smoking room was filled with a cloud of cigarette smoke. The expensive smoke filter gave up some crackling electrical noise, but it didn't seem like it was doing anything at all. Why do smokers have to be shoved down so far down this corridor where the sun didn't even reach? I recall hearing that tax revenue from the tobacco was about a tenth of the municipality's revenue. What? We are the most heavily taxed members of this municipality, so I really wish they'd show us a little more respect. Who is this?
どうしてこれがウーマン切りなんすか？
Are we on Oishi's POV now?
街が狭くなっちゃうっすよ。
One of the younger detectives was having a staring contest with a mahjong magazine called Next Turn.
ウーマン切ってもテンパイ崩れませんから、背底にかけるなら両面で受けた方がチャンスあるんじゃないですか？
クマちゃん、川を見てください。
Okay, but yeah, Oishi's already here though. So who are we right now?
ウーマンは全員切ってますから安牌なんですよ。終盤で K 点に走った誰かがダマで待ってたら嫌でしょ。
The kid let out another groan, put out a cigarette, and then took out another one.
納得いかないっすね。わざわざ自分で当たり牌減らすなんて。
ちなみに背底で当たり牌出しても論しちゃダメですよ。
え、どうしてっすか？
Just then, I heard a voice coming down from the hall.
大石さん、いますか？一般の方から凱旋です。
Oh, okay, we're actually in with Oishi, I think.
ありゃこりゃどうも。それじゃちょいと失礼。
どうして論しちゃダメなんすか？あ、待ってくださいよ、大石さん。
Okay, the man sitting in the seat Oishi-san was heading towards waved at the telephone receiver.
凱旋です。講習から。
どうもすいません。お待たせしました。大石です。もしもし。
大石さんですか？もしもし。
前原さんじゃありませんか。どうもどうも、こんにちは。
From the tone of my Barakun voice, I already knew he was in a predicament. This was the first time my Barakun had phoned me. I mean, yeah, it was Oishi-san who was always calling him, right? And he was calling from a
落
payphone.
ち着いてください。何がありました？
His voice was erratic over the line. He had completely lost his sense of composure. After checking that nobody else could hear, I prompted him in a hushed tone.
何があったんです？
What is happening?
落ち着いて前原さん。今そこに近場の警官を行かせます。私もすぐそっちに行きますよ。
多分無理です。
His voice was quivering and hoarse. He wasn't surrounded by people even as he was making this call, was he?
前原さんは今公衆電話からかけてますよね。
But yeah, I don't think he's surrounded by people because he can still talk though, right? Yeah. If the guys that were at his house would have caught up to him, he wouldn't have called in the first place and he wouldn't have been speaking anymore.
どこの公衆電話ですか？
There were no other sounds besides my Barakun's voice. It had to be the phone booth. I scratched out a note and thrust it at my colleague sitting across me. Hinamizawa phone booth. He understood quickly and hastily started on the internal lines.
落ち着いて前原さん。今どういう状況なんです？
It was the best to practice avoid flustering someone panicking, but this was an urgent case. My Barakun didn't just get in trouble, get away, and then call me. He was in the midst of something dangerous right now. But yelling at my Barakun right now would just needlessly cause him to be even more frantic. My Barakun wasn't just calling to seek help. He was trying to tell us something more than that. And whatever that was, if I didn't get it from this call, I was certain there would never be another chance. My colleague pushed a note in front of me. There's only one booth in Hinamizawa. A patrol car is on the way. 5 minutes.
測りすぎです。警らには何人乗ってます？
二人です。
Only 2? Not enough. If it was as I imagined, there were likely quite a few people surrounding my Barakun. 5 minutes was way too
南
long.
沢の駐在さんには電話しました。
定時巡回の時間です。家人は留守で連絡不能。
くそ。クマちゃん、車を回してください。
了解っす。
Kuma-chan.
もしもし、
Alright, he's still there though.
王子さん。
もしもし。大丈夫です。ちゃんと聞こえてますよ。
There was something wrong with my Barakun. That wasn't normal coughing sound. Vomiting? Or was it blood? Had he already been attacked? Was he injured?
前原さん、今そこに警官が向かってます。2、3分で到着しますからなんとか持ちこたえてください。もしもし、聞こえてますか？前原さん。
I could hear on the other end of the line that he was having a coughing fit. The worst possible situation popped into my head.
前原さん、犯人は誰です？何人なんです？
俺も最初は人間が犯人なんだと思いました。
I couldn't tell if that was cough or
大
vomiting.
丈夫ですか？前原さん。
犯人は人間なんだって。お社様のたたりなんかないんだって。ついさっきまで。だけどやっぱり。
It was an intense bout of coughing, then vomiting.
やっぱりお社様ってのはいるんだと思います。いや、います。今。
前原さん、どうか落ち着いて。
なんかさっきからおかしいと思ってたんです。ずーっとつけてくるんですよ。走っても走っても走っても走っても影みたいにぴったりくっついて、だけど少しずつ俺の背中ににじり寄ってくるんです。
前原さん、そいつは今ひょっとして前原さんの後ろにすぐ後ろに。お願いです、前原さん。怖いのはわかります。ですがお願いです。あなたの後ろに誰がいるんです？
振り向けるわけないじゃないですか。振り向いたら俺。
怖いのはわかります。でも教えてほしい。ちょっと振り返るだけでいいんです。前原さんの後ろに誰がいるんです？
Right after I said that, I could hear him vomiting intensely. What followed was a nightmarish sound.
前原さん、あんたまさか喉を引っかいてたりはしないでしょうね。
So he's doing the same as what Tomitake did? But yeah, he didn't get stabbed with a syringe, right? So okay, maybe later. There was no answer, but I could hear something like scratching. There was a bang as if something was being hit. My Barakun had probably dropped the receiver. I could hear groaning and vomiting over on the other end and repeating abnormal voices or noises.
もしもしもしもし前原さんもしもし
I knew how far away my voice would sound on the other end, but I couldn't help but shout. At the moment, I heard whispering coming from the other end. I couldn't tell what he was saying. From the way he was saying it, was he talking to himself? Or was he talking to someone there?
もしもし前原さん。
Rather than whispering, it was some kind of mantra he was chanting over and over. I focused my senses trying to pick up what he was saying. What was he repeating? What exactly? I guess he was saying Oyashiro-sama, let me guess. Suddenly the line went dead. Oh my god, it just went dead. Did he use up his time? It was because it was a payphone. It was because it cut out so abruptly. The last thing he said came out so clearly in my mind.
Oi-san! 車は OK っす! Oi-san!
ごめんなさい。
Oh, he said, I'm sorry. Okay. Also, just like how was Rena, right? I'm sorry.
Oi-san?
That what he was repeating over and over. He said, I'm sorry. I had a gut feeling. There was no longer a need to hurry. I could hear a chirp of the Higurashi spilling in from the window. I should have been able to hear them this entire time. I was just not paying attention. Why did I focus on them all of a sudden? Were they trying to tell me something? Only the Higurashi knew. That's how I felt. Okay, but will he go there to the payphone? June 1983, in Hanamizawa, a remote village near Shishibone City, there was a murder involving 2 female students. Okay, so the case report, I guess. Suspect is Keiichi Maibara, age 1X. Why don't they just say the age, right? He's probably like 13 or 14, right? The suspects called over his 2 female classmates, Rana Ryugu, Mion Sonozaki, to his house and beat them to death with a metal bat. The scene of the crime was a suspect's room on the 2nd floor of his house. The inside of the room was covered with a significant quantity of splattered blood, and there were signs of a struggle with the victims. In addition to the scene of the crime, the entryway, living room, and kitchen all had traces of a struggle. Oh yeah, the shurak was broken, right? And the wall had evidence of being impacted by a strong blunt force. It is believed to have been the same bat as the murder weapon. Having no trace of blood, it is believed the destruction occurred before the murders. There is a possibility that the suspect overpowered his victims to keep them from fleeing. The living room, the rug had been pulled back then thrown aside. But yeah, he was looking for the needle here, right? He was looking for a needle that probably didn't exist, right? In the kitchen, the garbage bag was torn apart and its contents were spread out on the floor. So he didn't even clean that? When he opened it at night, he left it there? Garbage was strewn about in the surrounding area and handprints believed to belong to the suspect were discovered. It is believed the suspect had for some reason taken out the garbage and struck it with his fist. The reason for this remains unknown. In addition, there was a note stuck to the fridge. The words, "Was there a needle?" were written on it. The meaning behind this remains unclear. Just in case, the garbage was searched but a needle was not discovered. Though the garage door was functional, it had been left open ever since the suspect moved in. The garage door was found closed. Suspect's fingerprints were discovered on the garage door. Reason behind this remains unknown. Suspect fled the scene of the crime. However, a patrolling officer found the suspect collapsed inside a phone booth. At the time of discovery, the suspect was unconscious in critical condition. He was still alive. Rushed to the local hospital for treatment, but did not regain consciousness. Of course, he would die. If he did the same as Tomitake did, right? You're gonna lose a lot of blood. The results of the autopsy indicate the immediate cause of death to have been hypovolemic shock. Yeah, because of the blood, right? Resulting to bleeding causes death. With similarity to the death of Tomitake-san prior week, the police believe there to be a connection and have opened an investigation. However, due to the wishes of the local authorities, it will be a confidential investigation. Due to the abnormal nature of the death, it was suggested or suspected that drugs were involved. But as with Tomitake, no traces were discovered. What prompted all remains inexplicable. As such, this case being treated as an act committed on impulse. However, with several accounts of a suspect's bizarre behavior leading up to the incident, it is possible that this was premeditated. Separated from his group of friends, isolation, inexplicable behavior. Several days before the incident, the suspect began carrying a metal bat. The suspect was observed displaying aggressive behavior, as well as talking to himself at school. His classmates have actually heard portions of what he was saying. 2 days before the incident, the suspect declared to his parents the possibility of his death. Due to this circumstance, the police have begun an investigation on the possibility that this crime was not committed on impulse, but was instead planned several days in advance. Afterwards, a note was found in the suspect's room that he had written himself. Note was written in 2 sheets from a B5 college ruled notebook that had each been torn in half. And as if trying to conceal it, it was stuck hidden behind a clock on the wall. Contents are as written in the appendix. The police believed to be strongly related to the incident. The police changed their line of investigation based on the possibility that a suspect was involved in some sort of incident himself. However, no further clues were found, casting doubt on the credibility of the note. Was the crime impulsive or premeditated? With the situation unclear and no further developments, the case has been labeled unresolved. However, the following year, suspicion arose regarding the nature of the note. The note was not written on 2 halves of B5 paper from 2 separate sheets, but was originally a single sheet of B5 paper. In order to erase several lines from the middle, someone had torn them out. Judging from the size of the letters, the missing section is estimated to be 2-3 lines. It is highly probable that the person who eliminated the lines in question is not the suspect. In addition, judging from the traces of large quantities of cellophane tape being stuck to the back of the clock, speculation that something other than the note was stuck there has arisen. Oh, did someone took the quote-unquote syringe? It could have not been a syringe though, right? If he was hallucinating it all. Okay, the person who discovered the crime was a detective rumored to have a connection with the incident, Kurado Oishi. Also, Oishi he was the one who found the note. He underwent voluntary questioning but denies involvement in any damages to the note. Okay, I Keiichi Maibara am in fear of my life. I do not know why they are after my life. The only thing I do know is that it has nothing to do with the Oyashiro-sama's curse. Rena and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe even more. They have a white van. All on the first sheet, okay. Second sheet. I have no idea why it has become like this. If you're reading this, then I'm probably already dead. Though you may or may not find my body, you who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. Keiichi Maibara. So Oishi-san took the part that said the syringe. Maybe it was not a syringe. All cast review session? What is that? Oh, there was no ending? No credits? That was chapter 1? Okay, we have a lot to talk about, but we have all cast review? Okay, maybe we'll do that all cast review next time. We'll do 1 more episode. Plus, I'll put my thoughts there on this whole chapter, right? But yeah, on this episode alone, I think Keiichi was hallucinating most of it, right? There was no syringe there. Because Mion said, we're gonna do to you what we did with Tomitake, right? Honestly, that really stuck with me when I saw that. Because the punishment for Tomitake when they went to Watanagashi, right? Was they scribbled some words on his shirt, right? That's why when he died, they were connected to him, right? All of the girls, right? Because they wrote on his shirt. So I guess Mion was gonna write something on his shirt, but for Keiichi, his paranoia was intense. He thought it was a syringe rather than, I guess, a pen, I suppose. And then yeah, he killed them because of that. But the problem is, I think Mion and Rena were kind of playing too much, right? When they were doing that. And for Keiichi, it was interpreting a different thing. Because yeah, he was pretty messed up already. And then, yeah, it backfired, I guess, to Mion and Rena, and then they died, I suppose. I don't know if I'm right. Maybe. But yeah, I guess we'll just talk more about this on let's do the last one. What do we call it again? All cast review session. Let's do that in the last episode of this chapter. We'll do one more, and then I'll give my thoughts on the chapter for then. I don't want to talk a lot right now because the episode is very long already. But yeah, I just wanted to say earlier, yeah, that one that I said that maybe Keiichi's hallucinating all of this. He didn't saw it. It wasn't a syringe. It was just probably a pen or something, right? That was, yeah, that really stuck with me. I'm leaning on that. But yeah, let's just continue this. So next episode we'll do that all cast review. Let's see what that extra is. I don't know what that is. We'll just have to see, and then afterwards I'll give my thoughts, I suppose, on this whole chapter. So anyways, we'll do more of Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 1 Onikakushi in the next one. Last one for that chapter. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.